to choose their own government. These are not, and never have been, Western, American, or indeed British values. They are the universal values of the human spirit, and any time people have the power to choose, they choose freedom, justice, and democracy. We face, of course, real threats from those who do not share those ideals, and our generation, like those before, is called upon to meet those challenges, to answer those threats, and to stand firm and not shrink from the task of preserving, protecting, and defending our freedoms. It is a time of danger, but also a time of immense opportunity, and nothing good comes easily, as we know. The lesson of Jamestown teaches this well. Jamestown's ultimate success was first a lesson of survival, a struggle to meet basic human needs. It was next a lesson of perseverance, of overcoming all manner of adversity, of conflicts and differences, of unspeakable hardships. And it was finally a lesson of understanding. Three cultures came together under very different circumstances, yet over time, a single nation was forged, a united nation that celebrates today its diversity and that has worked over the centuries to right those things that are wrong and to fulfill its founder's promise of liberty and justice for all. We can learn much from America's example, and I know that has been a central part of your dialogue these last 2 days. But you've also looked at the global picture, at the challenges and opportunities to democracy around the world, and at interrelated issues like national security and multilateral cooperation, religious and ethnic differences, economic development, poverty, climate change, and sustainability. In the final analysis, we know that democratic principle can only become a self-governing reality in nations where abstract liberty is matched by tangible opportunity. We know that vexing geopolitical issues have economic, environmental, cultural, social, and other dimensions that must be addressed. And we know that nations who share common values of humanity and notions of human dignity and liberty must work together, despite whatever lesser differences they may have. Nations must work together today to address the tragedy of millions around the globe, beset by poverty, disease, ignorance, and fear. They must work together to resolve historic conflicts and bring peace to war-ravaged lands. And they must respond unflinchingly to radical ideologies and violent movements, especially those that pursue power through the mass murder of innocents and who pose a threat not only to our form of government and our way of life, but even to life itself. Many of you I know have come a great distance to lend your experiences and ideas to this dialogue, vitally important, that has taken place at this World Forum on the Future of Democracy. I congratulate you on your commitment and wish you well in your work as you return to your homelands. These international discussions that have taken place throughout this year-long conference series on the foundations and future of democracy, I think have made a really valuable contribution to our understanding of each other and of the opportunities before us. So let us now resolve to build on these and other fruitful discussions to bring positive change throughout our world. Others may seek to tear down. Let us seek to build up. Let us build on a foundation of freedom whose cornerstone was put in place not far from your present site, now 4 centuries ago. And let us continue on a journey that has brought hope to millions and is still changing the world for the better. Thank you and good luck.
Good evening, and greetings to all the delegates assembled for this World Forum on the Future of Democracy. It's a pleasure for me to join my good friend, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, and my esteemed fellow co-chairs, President Clinton and Prime Ministers Thatcher and Blair, in welcoming all of you to this timely and important forum. The 400th anniversary year is a fitting occasion to reflect on how the journey that began just down the road a few miles at Jamestown has changed our world. Representative government in America began at Jamestown, and many of the world's great ideas about liberty were worked out by the giants of the founding generation here in colonial Williamsburg and other colonial capitals. In the 20th century, our country, along with strong partners and friends such as the United Kingdom, sacrificed blood and treasure to defeat a series of totalitarian threats. In doing so, we presented the chance for the world's people to live in peace and freedom. One needs only to look to Europe's outstanding progress since the Iron Curtain came down to see the power and potential of people, once freed, to chart their own course. And yet we know that the business of democracy is hard work. New challenges and new opportunities arise every day, and they demand the best each generation has to contribute. That process of thinking, discussing, planning, and innovating is what this World Forum on the Future of Democracy is all about. I encourage you to participate actively in the dialogue over the next several days, to consider the perspectives of your colleagues, and to make up your own mind about how best to preserve and extend freedom and democracy around the world. The journey launched at Jamestown continues, and even 400 years later, there is still much to be done. Thank you.
I want to join with my colleagues, President Bush, President Clinton, and Prime Minister Blair, in congratulating you on this World Forum on the future of democracy and the year-long series of conferences that has preceded it. Your topic is most timely and a very fitting way to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the settlement at Jamestown. During the past year, 10 great universities in Virginia have joined with national and international partners to debate the future of democracy and how we maintain those freedoms, which are all too often taken for granted. Sustaining freedom is never easy. The totalitarian oppressions of the 20th century and the evil fanaticisms of the beginning of this clearly demonstrate that fact. In the long history of mankind, democratic societies occupy only a brief part, but the ideals and liberties which they represent are the birthright of each and every one of us down the ages. We know, too, that freedom requires sacrifice. The courageous seafarers and settlers who came to Jamestown 4 centuries ago had no idea of the hardships they would face. But they persevered, and a tiny settlement became a great nation, a great democracy, and a great partner and defender of free peoples round the world. In the second half of the 20th century, the partnership between America and Britain, supported by other freedom-loving peoples, has fought steadfastly against tyranny and has brought new hope for millions. Never in human history has freedom made such an advance. Yet it's only a beginning. These conferences held over the past year here in Virginia have highlighted the enormity of the challenges ahead. Yet they have also shown the resilience of the human spirit and the creative power of free people. I applaud all those who've taken part in this noble endeavor. To preserve and advance democracy is our greatest challenge. So have courage, hold to your principles, and we will prevail. Thank you.
Waging war against us.
He has plundered our seas.
He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance.
To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.